what is Japan's role and significance in this power play, as it has one of the most efficient human resource managements in the world? Yes, you are right. Japan is one of the most optimized countries in the world. It has one of the most efficient systems of governance and business, and it was one of the best industrial ecosystems in the world. It has the best cutting edge research and development. Japan is considered to be a shadow nuclear power, which means it doesn't have nuclear weapons, but it can have nuclear weapons next week if it wants to, and it can have delivery systems too next week if it wants to. So that's the level of technological advancement Japan has. But as things stand today, let's take a look at the map of Japan. So here we are. Let's go towards Japan. This is where Japan stands. So Japan occupies a very interesting and significant position in the geography of Asia. It essentially cuts off much of the Pacific from China, because Japan goes all the way to these islands here, Okinawa, etc., all the way to Taiwan. So that's one of the island chains that China is always so concerned about. So Japan occupies a very strategically important location geographically. Japan is a pacifistic country. It has a small army, an armed force, so to say. They call it the defense forces. So since the Second World War ended, Japan has been basically militarily very inactive, very dormant. It does maintain a military. It does have a reasonably good navy as well. But the entire focus of its armed forces is on defense. There is no offensive. It has never taken any offensive attitude ever in the past 70 plus years. So Japan is a significant power, but it doesn't project power beyond its borders. Even if you look at Japan's economic policies, economy can also be a means of projecting power beyond your boundaries, beyond your borders. But if you look at the way Japan conducts itself economically and the way China conducts itself economically, you will see that China is intent on an ever-ending expansion and projection of power using all means, including economic means, which is one of the very important components in China's foreign policy. Whereas Japan does not indulge in the kind of economic practices and trade practices and mercantile practices that China does. Japan does not try to beggar its neighbors. It doesn't indulge in mercantilism. It doesn't try to lay debt traps on its neighbors. It essentially indulges in fair trade practices, more or less. I can't say all of these practices would be good, but if you compare the two, it's a difference between heaven and hell, black and white. So Japan doesn't have the ambition to be a global geopolitical player. It is content to be a peaceful and developed country and to live in peace and let others live in peace. How long that will last? Well, it all depends on China's attitude. China has a big grudge against Japan, and because of the events of the Second World War, and China always uses these historical pretexts to bully other nations. So there is a ongoing land dispute, territorial dispute between China and China has been bullying Japan in various ways for a long time. So Japan is a significant economy. It is one of the most technologically advanced nations, but it is not a global player on the geopolitical scene because of its pacifistic constitution and because it is defense oriented. It has a very strong navy, FYI. Its navy is more powerful than India's navy, significantly more powerful than India's navy. What is the measure of a navy's strength? So most people answer the number of ships a navy has. That's a wrong answer. The strength of your navy doesn't depend on how many ships you have. The strength of your navy is directly proportional to how many missiles you can deploy at sea on a given day. And the Japanese navy can deploy more than 1,000 missiles on any given day. So at right now, as we speak, it has at least 1,000 missiles deployed at sea right this moment. Maybe more, maybe 1,500 or more. So that is the strength of the Japanese navy. The strength, the power of a navy is measured in the number of missiles, anti-ship and other missiles it can deploy at any given time. So Japan's navy is much more powerful than India's navy. Its submarine strength is very good. It has very, very advanced submarines. So these are factors that China is wary of. But as I said, Japan's entire outlook is defensive in nature as of today. And that's why it is not a very big player on the geopolitical scene, even though it can become one if it chooses to, or if it is allowed to by its overlord, which we will get into in a few moments. So that's where Japan stands. Uh, that's where Japan stands in the global power uh, power play position.